Today on UK Casuals, we have Mick Spence, a Chelsea fan. So, how are you today, Mick?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Just had a glass of wine. I'm just nice and relaxed.
Nice and relaxed. That's how we like it. Nice and relaxed. So, we'll crack on. And what I like to do, Mick, is I like to take it back to the beginning with all of my interviewees. So can you remember your first match at Chelsea?
1978, I think it was. We played Ipswich Town and my dad took me. I think I was 11. We got beat 6-2. I think people that he was in his last legs by then.
Right. Okay. And obviously, did you just go with your dad because it was spending time with your dad, or was you interested in football even back at that young age?
I was fascinated with Chelsea for some reason. I don't know why. My dad took me once, and then I started going, when I went to secondary school in Deptford, I started going with one of my mates who was a Chelsea fan every week, every home game in shares.
Yeah, that interestingly is a segue into my next question, because the first time you started going with your pals, and what age was you and what era was it?
I was 12 or 13, and I actually went to Wrexham away. When I don't know if you remember, Chelsea fans were banned at one stage. My mum thought Wrexham was in London, and I was only 13 or 12. I ended up getting on a coach for all the lunatics, all the banned fans, and going Wrexham away the night game.
Right, and of
course, you mental in.
That's just not Chelsea versus Wrexham. That's England versus Wales, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we had Mickey Jordan. I'm going back a long time, and I look back at it now, and I was thinking, oh, do you know what we actually done as well? We actually sold the telly for my house to go get tickets for the game without the parents knowing, which didn't go down so well. Went down like the Belgrano.
So when did this come to light then, that you'd sold the telly?
Oh, when I got home from Wrexham, basically, and I wasn't the most popular kid on the planet.
I can well imagine, Mick. I can well imagine.
It was a big black and white TV. We can't remember how much we sold it for, but enough to get for tickets for Wrexham.
So what age was you back then again? Sorry,
I was 13.
13. So can you remember when you first saw your bit of aggro?
I think the major one was Tottenham at home when they had Archibald and Crooks playing for them. We lost 3-2 at home. I think that was a major one. But Wrexham away was pretty lively, and Bolton away, 1977, when Clive Walker stopped us going down by scoring in the last minute, I think it was.
And that was so. Was you sort of on the outskirts or?
On the outskirts at first, because I was just, then I started catching on to people and talking to people and getting involved with the conversation, and then we ended up going to Cardiff away, 1983, and that was absolute bedlam.
Another lively, again, England versus Wales, isn't it?
We actually took over three parts of the ground.
Right, there was that many of Chelsea there.
Oh, where Cardiff said it's the best mob we've ever seen at Cardiff. They still say that now.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff's well known.
There's actually one Chelsea fan getting done by about 30 Cardiff, and they they circled him and they let him go and clapped him. And he got up and kicked one of them again, and they steamed into him again.
Well, that's just the way it goes, and if they clapped them, then you've got to say fair play to them, really, isn't you, I suppose.
I know exactly what I was wearing that day as well. I had a pair of Nike Wimbledon on, lowest jeans, and a Lyland Scott tank top.
So you've talked a little bit about the places that you went to. So back then, what firms did you rate when you were sort of going with your pals? You were getting involved in what I call the naughty side of football. What sort of, who were the top firms in that era?
Well, I thought basically Arsenal was, and West Ham, obviously, and obviously Millwall, but up north, Middlesbrough and Everton and Pompey, obviously.
Pompey, very well known, yeah.
Middlesbrough was well rough. I mean, I got in a bit of trouble in Middlesbrough. I got cornered by about 6 of them. And I was getting a bit of a dig, and basically heard one of them say, "Get his fever." So as soon as I heard that, I was like a red rag to a ball. I thought, yeah, you never get him top. I managed to punch my way out of it, and then some copper grabbed me around the neck, called me a cockney bastard, said, "You're nicked." I said,
Right.
he can't nick me because I was getting done there, and I sort of managed to squiggle away from him.
So
They
that
actually just police up there.
you actually heard some of the Middlesbrough mob that they wanted to tax your top or whatever you were trying.
So one of them said get his feeler, and that was, to me, that was like, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed, I don't know if you've seen my YouTube page, but I've interviewed quite a lot of people. There's not a lot of media about up north and the front line mob of Middlesbrough, but they always get mentioned.
Oh, they were well rough up there. They was coming out of the streets left and right, and we had some. As soon as we got there, they was by the train tracks doing cutthroat gestures to us.
Right.
And we got outside the station, and there's some little kid. He must have been about 12, bobbing up and down doing the Muhammad Ali boxing thing. I mean, come on, you cockmates. He's about 12 years old. And that's what. And then we tried getting their end, and then we thought better of it.
Right. So again, this is a good little segue into the next question. Really, is that football fashion is a massive part of the casual subculture. It always has been, even up till now. And you said you could remember what you were wearing on a certain day. I think you said it was Bolton away, but I'm not too sure.
Cardiff away.
What were your favourite labels back then, Mick?
I think Ticini was at first, and I even actually had a Deerstalker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember walking into a pub
a staple of any football casual's wardrobe. A Deerstalker.
Actually walked into a pub in Bermondsey full of Millwall with a Fila ski coat on and a Deerstalker, and I was getting some strange looks from the locals.
Right. Okay.
But look, my favourite jacket was the Lacoste candy stripe jacket.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm
trying to get one now. They fit on the ground.
Yeah. So like you've mentioned Millwall quite a few times, but you're Chelsea.
Yeah, but I went to just as many Millwall games because all my mates give me sticks. I was born in Deptford, and I got a lot of stick for being Chelsea. But I used to go a lot of Millwall games against Leeds and Portsmouth and games like that. I actually went over there with a few Chelsea once against Portsmouth, and I don't think they was too happy about us being there, to be honest.
No. So the game against Leeds, what you've just mentioned, the service crew, really well known.
They've always got numbers.
Yeah. Was it always a naughty day against Leeds? Was it all, was you always I suppose what I'm trying to say is, did you know it was a special fixture when it was Leeds?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea Leeds, it was always quite a lively fixture anyway.
Yeah.
The Millwall Leeds is just as bad. And I used to know most of the Millwall faces anyway in the end. They used to get used to me being around.
Because it's north versus south, isn't it? So.
Yeah, well, they love the Deerstalker as well, Leeds as well.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't matter what part of south you're from. Leeds just ate everybody who's from the south, and vice versa. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what's become an infamous night now, which is 1985. It was an FA Cup tie between Luton and Millwall. We had a little discussion before you came on air tonight, Mick, or this afternoon, sorry, and you said that you were there. Can you just explain and elaborate in detail what actually went on that night?
Well, I got two friends of mine from Bermondsey drove up to me and said to me, "Do you fancy coming Luton tonight?" And I said, "Do I need a ticket?" So they said no. So I said, "I'll jump in the Beetle." Volkswagen Beetles were quite popular in Bermondsey at the time.
Right.
That was a car to have. So I said, "I'll go with you," thinking it'd be just a normal night. Just didn't expect anything to materialise. So I was there, my Woodhouse leather jacket on and my Night Road Runner trainers, my ball jeans, looking the part. And we got to the ground, we got in earlier, and they were just kept coming in and in and in and in and in, and it was just getting too crowded. And Shell Millwall wanted to get the game postponed because they was losing. As soon as they was losing, near the end, they was going to try and get the game postponed, which was the idea.
Right.
But I had a guy next to me, and he was pulling the fence pole out. So I said, "What are you doing with that, mate?" And he said, "I'm just going to get the cameraman." I said, "All right, mate, you crack on."
Mate.
And then the funniest thing was this inspector, obviously high up in the police, come over to us, stood in front of us and went, right, that's enough. And I thought, God, mate, please go away. Please just walk away.
Oh.
And this wall of spit just come over my head, just landed on his peaked cap, was dripping, and that was the answer he got. And he was like, oh, why did you just come up to us? You know, you're not going to get no joy out of this lot, you know. But it got worse. It got worse. You know, the seats getting chucked at the old bill, but I didn't see any other fans there apart from myself. I was there, but I didn't see any other. It says in their book that they had Tottenham there, Arsenal there, but I didn't see any.
So in your opinion, it was just a Millwall mob.
Yeah, and they'll say that as well.
Yeah, I mean, what was
whole
the
South East
spark?
London was
Because,
really.
I mean, it was on telly, and a lot of it was televised. And Margaret Thatcher, to me, that was the change of it all. But what was the spark, Mick? Can you remember? Or just did the Millwall fans go there looking for it that night?
I don't think they did originally. Luton has always got a tasty little mob themselves, Luton, so they'll be looking for it as well.
Yeah, the mix. Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I think, as I say, I think they were trying to get. Well, my perspective is they were trying to get the game abandoned so they can sort of get a game replayed, basically, and it all escalated. And obviously, there's too many people let in, so they were squashed up against the fences. So basically, you know, we didn't want another Hillsborough. So it's lucky the fences all burst open and everyone was out on the pitch.
So were there, has it been? Because I'm not too up to date on that detail. Were there a lot of people there without tickets that night, then, Mick, that actually were let into the ground?
I don't know about people without tickets. I just think it's because you pay to get in. I mean, was it the 5th round of the FA Cup on 6th round, and you got playing Millwall at home. You make it all ticket, don't you? You don't say pay as you get in.
Yeah, of course not.
Everyone's just paying. Most people are quite lagging as well on the other stuff as well. So
yeah,
they fueled it somewhat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you said they were ripping up seats and stuff. From what I've read, Luton said they were badly outnumbered that night. That's why they said it was most of London rather than the Millwall. Did you see that? Did you see that was it swamped with London people?
I think it was the whole of South East London. I think the South East London was a ghost town when that night was going on.
They all turned out for it, you know, for whatever.
Yeah.
Because really, the fixture, I mean, what round of the FA Cup was it? Did you say?
Well, I think they would have had Everton in the next round, Millwall, if they'd have won.
Right. Okay. Because it's really sort of a nondescript final, really, isn't it? For the all of South East London to turn out. But I suppose that's football. You never know where it's going to go off. Can you remember any scenes you seen that night that sort of took you back? I mean, you said about the copper getting covered in spit, but did you see anything else?
And the guy with a fence pole trying to kill the cameraman.
And yeah, I mean, that again is quite unusual, isn't it?
There's one incident where there was a load of stewards, Luton stewards, and one of them had a crash helmet on. And, you know, thought that's a silly move. And everyone went, get the one with the crash helmet. Everyone was after this poor geek with a crash helmet. Apparently, there was one Mill fan with a Donald Duck shirt. I didn't see him, but he was running across the pitch, trying to run into their end, going mad. But it was just a. I think that was at their peak, Millwall, them days.
Yeah. When you was in the ground, Mick, that night, could you feel it? The buzz,
yeah, definitely.
The tension, the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity there. It was building. I think it's because there were so many people in there, and the police were coming, turning up, and being a bit heavy-handed, and.
Oh, so you would say the police escalated it then?
Not much, but I'm just saying. I'll go back on what I said. I think Millwall were trying to get the game abandoned as well. That was on their mind.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. And they kind of probably went too far a little bit, and then because in my mind that night definitely changed things. The sentences got a harsher. The police football dedicated unit or whatever it was built that night.
So I was working up the West End at the time, I mean, just behind Carnaby Street, Marshall Street.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. Tell me about this, Nick.
and it's quite a focal point for all different kind of fans, you know. So I met a couple of Chelsea fans, a Tottenham fan, a Millwall fan, all worked in the same area because it was quite a place to be. You know, if you see what I mean, it was like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Knick-knack shop round the corner from where I worked, which is a famous shop where you got all your feeler gear and your
knick-knacks.
Yeah. And you used to get lily whites, and people used to go thieving in there with their head bags and stuff like that.
Of course,
Circus.
As you do.
There was a whole thing going on. I think people don't. My wife says to me, "It's all about violence." I says, "No, it's not. That's just a little minor part of it."
I've definitely, yeah, and this is why I do what I do, Mick. This is why I do what I do, because I try to get out. Because the mainstream media will say that we're all thugs, we're all mindless. No, you know, football's a very small part of the day. It's meeting up with your pals, like you said. It's, you know, not to sound too poncy or whatever, but it's picking out the gear that you're going to wear that day.
Yeah, he did. Definitely did. I mean, I can remember buying a ball jacket, a green ball jacket, and I went Portsmouth away in the night game. We had thousands there, and at the break, I was having a go at this Portsmouth guy through a fence. I tried to grab him, and I didn't see the hamburger stall, his side of the fence, and he's grabbed the tomato sauce bottle and sprayed me all over my new jacket with the tomato sauce bottle. I was fuming.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now, I think he's quite funny. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's saying, he ruined your jacket. You won't bother about getting a slap.
No, I just worried about the jacket. Yeah. That was another night. We was in a pub before the game, and there's about 100 of us, and all of a sudden about 200 pompies steaming down the road, literally sprinting, and some big guy just got up and went, I was only younger at the time, 18, 19. Some big guy got and went, right, come on, boys, they're here. Calm as you like. Let's go outside. I was thinking, look at the white nut of this bloke.
Yeah.
But the police chased the pompey off, and it didn't really nothing happened in the end.
But you said after, I don't know if it was after or before the Luton night, you said that you were you was working up west with a certain person's sister who you'd never knew before. Tell us a little bit about that, Mick.
It's funny because it was directly after the Luton game. And basically, she was the typesetter. It was not. I used to be a graphic artist. I used to work in the studio. Don't sound like one, do I really? But I suppose, what do they sound like? But I got back into work the next day. She said, I saw you on the pitch last night. You was one of them, weren't you? And I said, you're as bad as my brother. I said, who's your brother? She went, Kaz Pennant. I went, no. He invited me to, he owned a club. He invited me to it in Sydenham, I think it was. And I think the weekend before I got battered over in Essex, the gold mine in Canvey Island. I was in a bad way, so I basically had to give that a miss. But yeah, it's weird. It was weird how I've been working with her for a year and didn't know that.
And you didn't know that. And again, you know, it's a small world, isn't it? So just before I ask you a little bit about today in the future, apart from Luton, have you got any best memories of any away days or any, or even home matches for that, you know, for that fact? Is there any sort of matches or away days that stand out in your memory?
I think Newcastle away, I'm going back a long time, when they was wearing kilts and stuff like that. And we was right next to their fans. We was waving £20 notes at them, saying, do you know what one of these are, mate? You know shouting at them, it's a £20 note. Now, they was proper. This is when they was proper northern, when they had no fashion at all. Like, there was a guy called Robbie Stewart, he's one of the Cockney Reds, he was with us. And he had his red feeler BJ. He had his red feeler BJ on. All those all the Northerners were like staring at it and that, but they still had their shirts off and stuff like that, and walking around.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick question, because I've done a previous interview with somebody, and the casual scene. Where did it start? Now, people argue this about until they go to bed, right? And I understand that. Now, you've got the Scousers saying that it started in Liverpool because they was in Europe at the time and they were nicking the gear and they were getting their hands on stuff you couldn't get your hands on. And Wade Smith, who opened up a shop in Liverpool, went over and bought a load of trainers. What's your opinion on where did it start, Mick?
Well, I think the best dressers in the whole of the Premiership was Arsenal.
Right. The herd back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think as for the Scousers nicking clothes, I think there's more interesting Cartier watches and jewellers and stuff like that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, because it's just...
Pete Houghton from the farm. He reckons it's, you know, he swears blind. It's the Scousers that started the fashion, and we started the Pringle. We started wearing Pringles or something, and we was into Pringles and they weren't. And you'll go back and forth.
They wouldn't wear them because the Cockneys wore the Pringles first, as he said in the documentary.
Exactly.
And there's actually a good documentary called Whatever Happened to the Knockers, which is on YouTube.
Oh, I remember that when it originally came out.
Yeah, if you look it up, and it's really interesting about West Ham boys, and actually have a fight with the Millwall boys during the documentary.
I think it was all put on though, wasn't it?
Yeah. So to finish up, I've got a couple of questions, Mick. Modern football. How do you feel about it, mate?
I'm less interested. The only reason I'm still interested in it somewhat is because my son's obviously a Chelsea fan and he's 14, and I watch the games with him. I don't go over there as much as I used to. I mean, I've done all the European games away when Vialli was in charge and stuff like that. But my son watches it, he loves it. So if he loves it, then I'll still watch it with him. But as I say, you go to Chelsea now, you go in the West Stand and you stand up and shout and people stare at you, you know, it's weird. It's just...
So, did they ever say to sit down?
No, I wouldn't tell me to sit down, but it's just, you go to Matthew Harding stand, it's different. You get a few more older generation in there, but it's changed. It has changed. It cost me if I went on my own, it cost me £100 for the whole day now.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
You can't get tickets anyway. It's hard to get tickets anyway.
It's really hard. Yeah, I mean, even like, I'm down in Dorset and my local team is Bournemouth, and to get tickets for Bournemouth is you've got to go through
the story, doesn't it?
And this person, and it's just an absolute nightmare. So how do you feel about VAR, Mick? You've said about the actual, you know, the difference in fan on the terraces, which is sad. It really is. I mean, if you stand up to cheer your team, people should not be looking at you in a strange way. I went to the standing up with you.
I went to a European game with my son. I think it was Lille or someone who was playing, and two guys next to me were saying, "Oh, wasn't that West Ham lot a rowdy bunch down there here the other week?" I was thinking, God, where's it going? What's going on here?
Whereas is it going to clapping politely when someone scores? That's
well, they don't even do that. They look at you when you shout and swear. They sort of stare at you as though you're something off another planet, basically.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because football is what that's for, in my opinion, to get out the stresses of the week on the weekend. And as soon as your team scores, you go mad. That's what you've always done.
The worst, just quickly, the worst night I ever had was the five-a-sides at Wembley Arena. Right. We turned up there, 30 of us met at Victoria, and we turned up there, and it was just an evil night. Things were getting pulled out, and me being my usual self, I got separated again as usual. I'm a bit like that, I'm a bit stupid. Had about 10 West Ham walked down the road towards me. One pulled out a rather long weapon and said, "Get the gooner with the Aquascutum jacket on." I thought, was he talking about me?
Yeah. And he
I won't say his name. I know he is, but that was one of the worst nights ever. That was. It was just awful.
Of course, you don't have to know. So to finish up, Mick, what's the future for Mick Spence? What's he up to nowadays?
Well, going back on the football, I never was a main face or anything, or was a real hard nut or anything. I was just
no, of course, no. You don't have to claim that you're not, you know, or you were. So.
It was magical. People don't understand it, and you get more footage of mods getting interviewed than you do casuals getting interviewed, and it's like a forgotten subculture, but it's an epic subculture, iconic subculture.
Yeah, again, reason why I do what I do, Mick. Because you're absolutely right. You do get mods and your teddy boys getting interviewed more than you do your football casuals. And like you said, it's a really important piece of social history. really important.
Oh, it was. There was a code as well. You know, you never used to do anyone on their own, and
yeah,
well, a few did, obviously the wrong ones. But I mean, I've got loads of stories I could tell you that make you laugh and cringe. And
yeah. Well, that'll be for another time. You know, we can always do, you know, some more interviews.
But I'm medically retired now, so
yeah. But it's yeah. So you've had that life. And
we moved on to the rave scene after that. So
yeah, I mean, is there just just to end up? Is there anything you'd like to mention or say?
I'd like to mention Malcolm Muggsy, who passed away a couple of days ago. And
yeah, fair play to you.
A lovely fella and a real character at Chelsea.
Right,
a lovely guy, and he's quite well known at Chelsea, and he's such a character. I hadn't seen him for donkey's years, but you know, he's still, condolences to his family and all his close friends. So, good luck. Rest in peace, mate.
Yeah, fair play to you. Okay, so that was Mick Spence, Chelsea fan. I'm sure that he'll be on this channel for some further interviews, and there'll be more interviews coming from UK Casuals soon.
Take it easy, mate.